welcome to our next session. We're very excited to have folks from SUNY Erie here with us today to talk about student basic needs. And they're going to go through just some of the exciting and impactful things that are happening over at Erie Community College. So without further ado, I want to first hand it over to Adam Patterson and allow him to introduce himself and then his team as they go along. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, everybody.
Thank you, Casey. My name is Adam Patterson. I am the Dean of Liberal Arts and Sciences over at SUNY Erie. With me is Christina Annesi. She is the project director for ASAP. Dan Frontera, who is the director of Student Access and Veteran Affairs. Crystal Gramse, who's the director of Institutional Grants. And Dean Amy Yoder, Dean of Students. She won't be with us today, but she's a big part in setting up what we call Erie Connects. I am a firm believer that my job is more of a support role. I am there to make sure that people have what they need in order to do the job that we're hiring them for, and my job is more to get out of the way. As such, I've invited everybody here to help discuss what it is that SUNY Erie does to help our students be successful and graduate. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Christina Annesi.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Christina Annesi. I am the director of the ASAP program. ASAP program is a program that started about a year ago on Erie's campus. It's a state-funded program for students in their first year. So this is a SUNY-funded program mentioned in Governor Hochul's State of the State address as a priority SUNY. And what we do in ASAP, the reason why I've been invited for this particular presentation is for student support. This is very much an academic support program and personalized advising. So with that academic support comes everything else that comes with it for supporting a student academically. First addressing, why they would want to take that step to go into college, whether they are freshly graduating from high school or if they are an adult learner, which was highlighted last month by my colleague Carmela from Cayuga County College. She highlighted some of the things that were challenges last month for our adult learners. So with this ASAP program, some of the things that we've done has been personalized advising and goal setting with the students, which includes the ability to meet one-on-one with our students every month. We offer a lot of incentives with our program. So with that advisement and goal setting also comes a funding stream for students that have that are in the program. They have a lot of funds that support that effort for them. So those two things are a big benefit for our students in the ASAP program. The personalized advising comes from a case management model. The case management model offers wraparound services. Those students receive the academic support, the advisement, the emotional support, the problem solving, the triage, things that we do every day with our students. It's just done on a monthly basis. So the initiative for ASAP is to support retention initiatives on campus so that those students, are supported from their first step onto the campus up until they graduate. So some of the things that have come to light from that have been the student who's been overwhelmed, the student who was pushed by their family to attend college, but doesn't really have a clear path as to what they want to do. So just helping them achieve goals and set goals and provide a path with them based on their interests in kind of getting to know what that is. So we also work with our Career Resource Center on campus. They offer career support and workshops for our students. So I oftentimes tell our students when they first come in that they are supported with their academic path, their career path, and everything in between. So that was just a brief overview of what ASAP is. Erie is one of the schools that receives Brightway funding from the Brightway Education Foundation. It's a private funder to support our student parents. We have a roster of students who are able to receive additional funding for emergencies, for childcare, and anything else that comes with that, with the challenge of being a student parent and balancing all of that. So with that, with the case management and with the ASAP model, we offer support to those students, but we also offer support to the general population from Erie. So Erie, I just wanted to explain a little bit about where Erie is and how we are the dynamics of our campuses. We have 3 campuses. I'm here at the North Campus in Williamsville. It's in our suburban area. We have a downtown campus in the city of Buffalo. And then we also have our 3rd campus in the southern tier. That's our South Campus, right near where our beloved Buffalo Bills football team is. So between those 3 campuses, what we do to support those students who are in different patches of Western New York, and what walks of life that they may be in, how they come to us on campus, what they're bringing with them, and how we can support them. There's case management embedded in everything that I do with ASAP, but I do know that for our students, for us to work together to support those students, we have to provide a lot of communication, a lot of referrals, and a lot of working together. And so just like we work with our students to try and provide resources to them, my colleagues refer students to resources that they have. And very much like anything else, working together and collaborating to help the students succeed. I have a team here of people who are together with me so that we can properly serve students and work together and collaborate and prepare students for their walk on our campuses. We have an amazing initiative that came to our campus a few years ago. It's called Erie Connects. I'd like to introduce Dan Frontera. He is our Director of Student Access and Veteran Services. He is one of the leads on this Erie Connects and what the model is and how it supports our students. We also have Crystal Ramsey here. She is in our grants department. She's on the board for Erie Connects. And Amy Yoder, the Dean of Student Services, this is one of her initiatives as well. She's one of the leads. She couldn't be here today, but she's going to be mentioned through this presentation. So I'd like to introduce Dan and have him take it away. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Dan Frontera. As Christina said, I wear a couple different hats like every one of you do, like every one of our students, every one of our colleagues do. This morning, I was putting a 6-year-old on a bus. 5 minutes later, I was a director of veteran services, taking care of 15 deployed National Guardsmen. Minutes after that, I was balancing out a student accessibility issue. A lot of things that we got going on each and every single day. Erie Connects came about 7 years ago, and it arose out of our need for behavioral intervention teams. And the research we did to find that most of the behavioral intervention issues we had were because students didn't know, and staff and faculty didn't know, where to turn to for appropriate resources, training, support. Erie Connects. Erie Connects is our effort to engage the student in overall wellness and encompassing these multiple areas, looking at the wellness training, the wellness model, and the wellness wheel, physical, social, intellectual, thanks, Adam, the spiritual, the occupational, knowing that these students, like us, come into this every single day trying to balance so many different things. They would turn to a staff member, maybe, but maybe the staff member didn't have all the information. And that's why we brought about Erie Connects. And Erie Connects was developed over the course of time to provide a one-stop shop for a student to check into, a staff member to check into, a family member to check in and say, we need help. We don't know where to turn. And what we found through this is that about 80% of our engagement is more on a wellness side, a success coaching side, and not necessarily on the mental health side. And SUNY Erie, unfortunately, we don't have, you can back me up a couple slides. SUNY Erie doesn't employ a licensed mental health counselor on campus. So we've made do with some other resources from the community. And I'm going to quickly highlight a bunch of those. The emotional health support that we have. What we introduced was the Oasis app, which is our gateway app to a lot of our services. Daily affirmations, right to your phone. How are you doing? Smiley face check-in. I'm not doing well. What are you working on? What's causing this? We're finding that students are engaging on that and getting a little bit of self-help, mindfulness, and then immediately channeled into the different resources and access points we have here at the campus. We also found that our staff and faculty was using this to be able to find resources to speak to the student. Hey, when Dan's having a bad day, how do I work with him? Dan's having a bad week, who do I engage for him? Well, Erie Connects. Amy Yoder and myself, we oversee the Erie Connects line so that we're the ones responding 24/7 pretty much to a student. Beauty sleep's overrated for me, so I've given up on that a long time ago. So like you guys do, you're going to respond. You're going to take care of the student. The emotional health support is built with having different community-based resources in support of the Oasis app. And the Oasis app also offers us a 24/7 licensed mental health counselor chat line that a student can connect into, and very shortly, a 24/7 telehealth program, allowing our students who really do need the emotional and mental health support to get that, while we address success, the wellness, the overall being of the rest of our students. Leading me into the wellness aspect. Well, the wellness isn't just physical. We know that. It encompasses every aspect. Financial. How many of our students are coming unprepared? Well, the links are in there to help them get the right information done. How many of our students need to set small-term goals? Be able to connect into somebody on campus who can help them. Hey, here's how we're going to develop your study skills. Erie Connects has every aspect of this, including allowing the students to be able to check in for health. Well, we're supporting the emotional health, we're supporting the physical health. What resources are within the community? What do we have here on campus? It's kind of a quasi combination of student support services, a little bit of the mental health offices, a little bit of the health services offices, and sometimes a little bit of student aid and programming. It's all involved in supporting the education and the engagement of the student. We all know. You look at each other right now and know. And when a student has someone to latch onto, they're going to stick around. When they've connected to somebody, the potential for them to stay is exponentially increased. How many of our students will, in the first 6 weeks, they got their first bad grade? They aren't fully prepared. Here at a 100% commuter school, we don't have the ability to engage after hour programming. We don't have the ability to get the students ahead of time and squared up as much as we need to with their financial aid. But having somebody like a Christina or an Adam or any one of our staff who can reach into Erie Connects and immediately that student has access to something. But wait, what about that student who can't put enough food on their table? I'm going to hand this off to Crystal for a second to talk about some of our resources and what we've done as part of Erie Connects to engage students and support them for food and housing.
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my video there. It keeps going in and out. So thanks, Dan. I just want to piggyback off of that. You know, before Erie Connects really came about and all of these resources were available together, we really did just have silos of resources. So, you know, if somebody had a question about food insecurity or housing, or, you know, I would have a list of information to hand to somebody, but it was just a paper list, and there wasn't really much follow-up. So in 2018, in response to Governor Cuomo's requirement to have established food pantries or even a food closet on SUNY campuses, SUNY Erie responded by reaching out to Feed More. So in collaboration with the One Stop Center, which is WIOA funded, in collaboration with the One Stop Center, we reached out to Feed More, and we began to build a relationship with Feed More to pilot 3 food pantries. So the first one was at City Campus, then the next one was North Campus, and then finally the third one was South Campus. So by 2019, within a couple months, we did establish 3 food pantries available for students. But with that partnership with Feed More, came requirements such as we're open to the community. Well, that's a good thing because we're able to sell SUNY Erie education programs and resources and everything to the community. So Chancellor King in 2024 reiterated the need for food insecurity, but we've been operating ours since 2018. Now, COVID did change them slightly. Before COVID, we were really active in all three pantries. So I would staff them. Sometimes I would have help from work study students. And what I was finding during that time, the students needed assistance with not just food insecurity, but they also needed assistance with housing and they needed assistance with SNAP. At that time, students were not eligible for SNAP. It's been in just the last couple of years that they became eligible for SNAP benefits. And it was mostly because they were living with their parents. Now, our food pantries are available to all students and community members, and we have options available to them to make meals, not just snacks or handout items, as needed, right then and there for food. So we try and get them to think about how to create meals with non-perishable goods. So cans and, sometimes seasonings, whatever we can order from Feedmore and have available to students to make meals, we try and do that. Now, with partnership with Feedmore, we're able to have them come in and do a nutrition presentation. So how to make a nutritious meal with items in the pantry, and they can package it. We'll package it so that the students can take away the recipe and the items in the package. Now, we know that some students don't have access to a can opener or, something like that. So we make sure that whatever that student needs, we can try and get that for them. So we are able to order things from Feedmore, and we did receive a grant from Emergency Needs Funds from a part of another grant that we were able to order a bunch of food and hygiene products to support whatever we couldn't get from Feedmore. So we were able to provide that to our students. Another thing about our pantries is that they are we do have information in there that link to other resources. So like the food gnomes, the only question that is asked is, are you hungry? If so, students are eligible. Community members are eligible for hygiene products and food outside of hours of SUNY Erie food pantries. The other thing is that we're part of the Healthy Pantry Initiative. So we try and teach more than just hand out, snacks at that time. Being part of Feedmore, our students can also use other pantry locations as long as they follow the requirements. So then they have access to the mobile food pantry, which does have cold foods and frozen foods. So refrigerated and frozen foods to make full meals. And we also have access to resources that people can help, those folks can help with, signing up for benefits like SNAP benefits and so on and so forth. Now, one of the things that goes along with food insecurity is also housing insecurity, right? Not always, but a lot of times it does. So we do have resources like neighborhood legal services can help somebody with housing. And we do have information available to them. We have a partnership with neighborhood legal services. We do also have a mandated liaison from SUNY and our campus designated somebody. And what this person does is receives information on receives information on a student that may be hungry or need housing, and then they work with that student to try and secure housing. I did want to say that one of the other things that Erie Connects does do, and piggybacking off of Dan again, is that, oh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. We were using a system before called, I'm sure everybody's familiar with Starfish. What that did was raise a flag, and it would come to me for a student that was hungry. But we were having problems with students not responding, or, you know, in this case, for Erie Connects, the student can get the resources themselves rather than just me reaching out. So rather than one thing here and one resource here, one resource there, it's, you know, available all together. And we still do have other things that we can hand out within the pantries for housing, for health. So that's where I am. If anybody has any questions, I am happy to answer or expand on anything.
And just to build on top of that, how this all rolls into play, having that, breaking out the silos, you know, and having that one point of contact for the student, the staff, the faculty to reach in and go, hey, Dan needs help. Dan might need X. You know, I haven't been able to pay my bills. And there's a great tracking mechanism that goes along with this. And what we're finding is that once engaged, we can continue to follow up with our project coordinators. They're reaching out. Hey, let's set up some time frame to sit down and meet. We're sharing that information with Christina so we can work back and forth on how do we best support the student? How do we support anyone, you know, an adult learner to the 18-year-old? And the Erie Connects is a message, you know, excuse the pun, it's our connection. It's a way we've attached onto our students just to give them another place that holds them, keeps them, and hopes like hell we can get them through the semester and beyond. Adam, it's yours.
Could we talk a little bit more about events that are coming up on Erie's campuses for wellness and other initiatives that are coming up with the clothing and all of that?
Sure. We have multiple pop-up wellness events coming up in the next few weeks, and they are an attempt to bring to the student the resources. It's a check-in, it's a refi. You know, we're going to be doing mindfulness, yoga. We have our VR technology coming out to allow students to explore different careers. We have a piece in place with our career services to allow the student to earn a badge towards the etiquette luncheon that we'll be hosting later on in the semester. So pop-up wellness through April and into May. We have therapy dogs coming to campus to allow the students to engage with them. Neighborhood legal services, Feed More, which is our local food bank, SNAP programming coming in to do information on not only benefits, but also some of their health related benefits through community access services. We are also stepping into each one of these students that we can get our hands on. Hey, here's somebody to talk to about your academic counseling for the fall semester. Here's someone to talk to about graduation. What are you going to be working on? Building into in May, we're going to be hosting our first etiquette luncheon. That etiquette luncheon will provide a number of our students an opportunity to apply for and receive career clothing. All right, we're doing a clothing drive on campus, putting that together for them, allow them to achieve a certain benchmarks that will earn them badges and awards that go through Credly onto their LinkedIn resume, so they can show, I've learned how to properly communicate. I've learned how to give my elevator speech. I've learned how to write an appropriate email. Career services will be with them that day, taking pictures to put it right up on their LinkedIn profile site. So the different events that we're running, the different events we're doing, just a way to, again, get out there, catch a student, give them someone to hold on to, have the ability to just refresh their mindset, know that somebody is there, know that somebody cares for them, so they can have one more opportunity to stay with the school.
There was a question, Christina, Adam, and Dan. Would love to know the source of some of those other grants you mentioned for additional wraparound supports. I realize you may not want additional competition for the funds, but we are from different regions and likely wouldn't compete. There are grants that we've already received, with the exception of there is a grant right now for New York State, which we have here, and it is around gambling. So it was brought to our attention that a lot of students ages 18 to 24 are experiencing a gambling addiction and gambling problems. So there is a grant right now. When I'm done, I can put that in the chat. That will expire March 14th. And some of the other grants, so we did receive a grant from SUNY. This was back in 2019, though. It was for the food pantry, and we could spend it on anything that we needed for the food pantry. What we decided to do was spend it on cold storage. So Feedmore did supply our refrigeration and freezer for the city campus, and a small one for South Campus. We did use the other grant funds for a refrigerator and freezer combination at North Campus. And then we were able to just get another refrigerator from our South Campus cafeteria. So, I mean, it's an old grant, not really in existence, but anymore. But you can always, I always check SUNY. I always check with SUNY. I always check with our local foundations to see if they might have any grants or be involved in any projects. A lot of them do like to have their names and be associated with projects that are available to the community. The one grant that we had for for emergency needs for students, that was attached to our cannabis grant. So there we have a consortium between Erie and Niagara. I think Jamestown was also on there, and I think GCC, Genesee. And together we have a consortium to promote cannabis, right? To build the cannabis up. But a aspect to that was funding to feed funding for emergencies resources. And what we did was just use that specific to the food pantry. So that's where some of that came from. And then our donated clothing. It's from connections to community members. I am part of, like, I made connections with our mobile safety net and try to get a lot of resources from that. So some of the things that we've gotten are free. We recently received more grant funds for emergency needs through a private funding agency. While I didn't give anybody information on how to apply for any of this, they are just from hearing about connections and being on listservs. Also piggybacking off of other grants that we've received.
Thank you. So from an academic side, right? So this is student support side of it as well. But from an academic side, we also like to look at it. How is it that we can better support the students? As Dan and Christina talked about, having relationships is the primary key, right? This is a relationship business, and everybody here knows this stuff. So some of the stuff that we're trying to implement here and we're trying to get better at is just that intrusive advising, right? Having our advisors be more involved in the success of their advisees, doing group advising, having discussion points with everybody, not just on an individual basis, but helping them feel like a community. So within one of our degree paths, communication and media arts, right? It's 110 students, which is fairly large. And they do their best to build that community, to work with each other. One of the things that I implemented was the idea of celebrate. So we had a bunch of initiatives that after COVID had fallen by the wayside. We used to have poetry readings. We used to have, from the English department, we would, English as a second language. They would put on a luncheon for students who went from pre-college English and then passed their English 100 and their English 101 or English 102, and they would have a celebration luncheon for them saying, great job, you did amazing. And one of the things that we're trying to do is celebrate, right? Celebrate the student, celebrate the faculty, celebrate the college, celebrate the community. So from an academic side, we're trying to really take the passions of our faculty members and help build that community, even though we're a commuter college, right? What does that look like? We have a jazz musician who does a jazz ensemble, who plays for most of our events, right? And this is again pre-COVID. We're trying to get it up and running. But they used to play for any and every event that happened at SUNY Erie. We have the poetry reading, right? We have health and human services that when they have internships, they try to bring some of those community partnerships on campus to help other students. We have the EAL luncheon. We have a myriad of other events where what we're trying to do is really change it from just a commuter college where people come in, take their classes and leave, into something where they understand and know that we are invested in their success and that we're here for them, not just to get the grade, but we're here also to help them understand why the grade's important and why it's important to get a higher grade. And we're here for their future. So from that end, I'm going to turn it back over to Christina, because I know this is very similar to a lot of the things she does with ASAP, and it's something that we're trying to do across the board as from the college as a whole.
So one success story that I had with one of my ASAP students, I had a young girl who was coming in for nursing. She was set on that. She has nurses in her family. She was very excited to take on this adventure. She was part of the wrestling team in her high school. She had gone on to win awards. She came in to take her courses for her nursing program and realized that she wasn't really keen on that field. It didn't, work with her, or as her words from her teenage language is, it didn't vibe with her. So just redirecting her and trying to help her build a path. I had to rely on the resources that I had, with first letting her know that she doesn't have to panic. She's failing her anatomy course. That's okay. How can we get through it for this semester? So some of the emotional support with realizing that she'd have to pivot and change direction, and what support she had at home for that direction. So she did feel the pressure of her family to continue on with nursing, like a lot of family members have done. So just giving her sort of a pep talk on how you can then speak to her family on that. So giving her the confidence for that, giving her the tools on how to do that. And then connecting her with the advisors on campus that would pull out her interests and pull out her goals. She's now applied for civil engineering. She's very good at math. She loves science. She loves working with her hands. And they're very excited to have a female in that program, another female. So it was exciting. The ASAP program is growing among SUNY campuses. It is going to be something that is pivotal in helping the students, a full group of students from start to finish, and encompassing everything that comes with it. Adam, would you like to move to the next slide?
Yep.
So what could you back it up to the Erie Connects? I just wanted to show our viewers that with the support that we do have for our students and what Dan has spoke about with Erie Connects, I think it's important to tell our viewers how our students actually get to this part. He mentioned that it connects to himself, to our Dean of Students, and to Crystal. It's through, I think it's through the email, erieconnects@ecc.edu. So wherever a student is on campus or at home, or in the car, had to pull over, having a moment, they can email erieconnects@ucc.edu, but also this well here, or this wheel rather, is listed and displayed through our buildings on campus. There's a QR code that we supply to the students. So if they resonate with any of these things that are on this wheel of physical, social, intellectual, emotional, environmental, financial, spiritual, and occupational. So any of those areas of their health, their well-being, their mental, their academics, their career, their finances, the whole gamut, they can connect with it. And that's the encompassing of Erie Connects. So if you'd like to move on to the next slide, I think we just had an overview of what our overall theme is. So the past few slides just had the health, the wellness, everything that Dan had gone over with our Erie Connects. But in conclusion, for our lunch hour work meeting today, us as a faculty and staff community among us, we direct our students to this Erie Connects. It's also posted in our Bright Space. It's posted in our classrooms, really trying to encourage the students to seek out that help on their own, but also have a visual, have people visible, because we're all working together in this effort. It's the only way that we can help support the students and help support each other. Our new president in the past year, Dr. Sagai, she's very much put student first on our platform of all of our professional development days, all of our days where we are together as a full faculty and staff unit. So student first is really what we try to adhere to, whether that be through their customer service, a friendly face, a smile, a check-in, just checking in with students, hey, do you need something? So that's what Erie stands for, and we were happy to present today. So I believe we're going to be moving on to the discussion piece of our presentation and questions. There is one more thing though, before we do that I would like to add, a new initiative that we have. It's called Connects Ed. And this is just another way for students who are at home doing their online learning, or at home studying, or even on campus if they need something, where they can log into their digital calendar and they will see all of our calendars and when we have availability, so that they know when they can pop into our offices. So Connects Ed is something that is phasing in through our campuses. ASAP was proud to be part of that first wave. I've seen a high success rate with that, because the students get a notification of their appointment, who it's with, what it's for, and the location. But it also gives out a reminder that week too. So students know, hey, this person, is ready to see me. I'm getting a notification and I'm getting a confirmation. So there's different areas on there of what they could pick of what they need. So that's just another way that we try to reach out to our students. We do have a question. Where does the QR code on the poster send them? Is it to the app to download? This is what I was hoping that Dan could speak to, as to how students connect to these services. You understand what it's called, you understand what services we provide, but how do students get to it?
That QR code will take them right into a spot, and ECC today and our workday, our platform, that will allow the student access to that wheel. It will allow them multiple other QRs within there too. One will take them into Oasis, give them the immediate link to us on via email. But the QR code that's on the bottom of that poster does bring the student directly into immediate contact with that information, which is all digital. So they can log it, they can tap right into financial and see who my resources are. They can tap into the emotional. They can tap into the spot where I need help and raise their hand up for help on that one. And from that, there's different pieces. I'll take them out to different support mechanisms within the college, such as our student accessibility area, my veteran services area, or the Oasis app itself.
Well, first, I just want to thank our Erie folks for talking a lot about Erie Connects, which sounds like a quite a centralized process for really bringing student basic needs together on campus. So, what questions do folks have? If anyone does, please just unmute or raise your hand, and of course, feel free to drop anything in the chat, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer it. So it looks like, so Allison asked if the visuals on that poster are available on your website.
Yes, they are. If you go into our website, you'll see the student services button up on the top, and slide that down and you'll be able to see the Erie Connects Wellness.
And thank you, Clarice from our Office of Higher Education in Prison. Just attached some resources for folks to take a look at as well. Thank you, Clarice.
Hi, this is Jackie from FIT. First of all, thank you for the presentation, very helpful. Some of the information is kind of personal. Can you talk about any challenges that you had in terms of getting people to want to share information and building comfort and even the staff that might have been supporting of that?
Sure. Looking from the Erie Connect side, when a student is reaching out, it is absolutely personal. Finding one of their identity groups they can connect into and being connected that way gives us a point of contact. The student accessibility counselors here on campus, I have one has a master's in social work, so immediately she's going to be engaging there. Another one who's worked for multiple years for DDSO, so understanding how to talk through these different pieces. The wellness coaching ourselves and the motivational interviewing is all trauma-informed care. So we've utilized that skill set that we've brought from University of Buffalo to how are we probing with these questions? How are we able to address some of these very difficult areas to work with, very, very personal areas for the student to work with? We're finding that I'd say probably 50% of the students are going to follow up with a second appointment on their own. Of the 50% that don't follow up on their own, we're getting about half of those back by making additional phone calls to them. In some cases, it's I'm struggling. Okay, here we go. We've got an email to you. What specifically are you working on? I'm on that. Amy's on that, our dean. We're then able to connect the student into Oasis, then able to do a follow-up the following morning, connecting them into some different resources we have. Once we have them into the Erie Connects page, they can open that up and see, okay, here's crisis services. Here's information on ECMC. Here's information on some of our community-based providers. And what can I do to work through that? Telehealth-wise, we've done telehealth here on the campus since 2014 for veteran services through the VA. So we have found that as we're able to deliver that to students, they're loving the aspect of, I can speak face-to-face with someone. What? I can it was early October, quick follow-up email to a student, and phone rings at my desk. She goes, hey, I'm doing really good. I'm doing great. I'm doing this. I go, awesome. She goes, but I've got to go. I'm on with my counselor. I said, what do you mean you're on with your counselor? She goes, well, I'm in the parking lot on my phone. We're doing a FaceTime. So finding a different way to connect in and just giving them multiple options of who can I talk to on this delicate issue. Student accessibility has done really well with it because we know that a good percentage of our students who are presenting with willing to represent, I don't want to say this. The percentage of our students who are willing to come forward and identify are already connected to our office or should be connected to our office for the emotional health support and different accommodations for the classroom.
I also want to say too that there is a stigma obviously around students and food insecurity, and it's very difficult for them to come forward and ask. And so we wanted to create safe spaces for them that are not completely tucked away, but we didn't want them to be front and center in front of everything. And, it is very personal to give that information. And we did collect data. We did ask for their information. And Feedmore does require that we do collect certain information from them. But, I really didn't ask students what their income was, what their family income was. They wouldn't have been there if they weren't hungry, if they didn't need those resources. So though I was asking personal information, it wasn't, aggregate data was shared, not really, the most personal information, and students had the opportunity to shop for themselves. It's not, we left it out for them to view and to pick and choose. And we tried to reach out to everybody in every culture if it was possible. We'd ask for donations. Right? So we serve all types of students and community members, and faculty and staff. Faculty and staff it's very difficult for faculty and staff to ask for that kind of help too. But we did have a lot of usage from a lot of different folks. And we also did work, and I wanted to know what Clarice said. We also worked at the One Stop Center. We did work with folks who are reentering into the workforce, and so they needed food, and it's really difficult for them to talk about food and reentering into the workforce and the needs that they have. And so we always want to make a safe place where our students and our community feels comfortable.
There's a question in the chat. When a faculty or staff member reached out on students' behalf, seeking support for the student, what was the outreach plan to get in touch with that student? Did you find that emails or phone calls were more successful? Thank you, Corinne.
So Corinne, there's a multi-level triage on that. And if it is a student that we're reaching out to for behavioral intervention, to get that type of support, we do use the NABITA scale. We quickly do an assessment on what the faculty has told us, ask the faculty if they've talked to the student about the need to refer them. And then we start doing an outreach based on an immediate phone call. And we'll do everything we can, whatever we have to do to connect into the student. If it's a student that's being connected to us for, emotional health support, financial aid information, again, we will very quickly email that student and call that student within the business hours, unless it's a crisis situation. It's a crisis situation, we work with campus safety and security, making an immediate referral out. It's phone calls, it's emails, and it's doing everything they can to be a compassionate voice on the other end, knowing that the faculty and staff reached out to try to help them, to try to give them the hand, to step forward, and just continuously working with that student and trying to reach one way or another. I've even gone to classrooms at different points in times. If it's specific to one of my population groups, I've sat outside of a classroom. It's kind of a, hey, how the hell are you situation, but I'm here because I care. And we've gotten a great response out of that.
We'll note
Question.
that.
Oh.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, sure. Cayuga Community College also has multiple campuses. So one of the great ideas I got from this presentation was your suggestion of doing a luncheon or some type of award event for people that are moving up to be college ready, I think you said. How do you plan these things when you have 3 different campuses or multiple different campuses, and then, or people taking online classes only, and they may or may not have transportation to one campus? So what are your tips on that?
So there's only one real group that does that, and it is the English as a second language faculty unit. So they really operate only out of the 2 campuses, City and North.
Okay.
They're very dedicated individuals that we budget in to have a luncheon. We work with our IRAP, our data collection to identify the students who've moved through the pre-college English and math and then into the college-ready math and so on. And then we invite them out to the lunch. We try to have it at campus. So we also have culinary at our college on both city and north. So we partner with them, and then we try to just do our best to aggregate the time that they're on campus. Most of our classes end between 12 and 1. So we try to have a lunch at like 1:30 in the food service area. And then we just make it a point to not only invite English as a second language faculty, but also administration. So like I always go to this, or well, I'm going to this, I should say, because this is the second time that we've done it since COVID. We also invite other English, or the students invite other faculty members that have made an impact, whether that's mentorship or whether that's just having a faculty member that they're interested in, something of that nature. We try to coordinate from my lens any and all faculty that are involved or that the students have recommended be involved, and then we try to have it on one during week 7, one during week 8. It's unfortunately, we don't have a lot of options with regards to transportation outside of the transportation bus between the campuses. But even that is not always effective because these students, they're coming in and out of class, and that we're trying to meet them where they are. So we're just trying to keep them at we're trying to meet them at the campus they are taking most of their courses at. It's not a large population, maybe 125, 130 students. So we're able to keep fairly well numbers on where they are and what's going on, as well as their class schedules.
Thank you.
Crystal, can you see, there's a question in the chat regarding the board.
Say, Crystal, do you know? Can you speak
So,
more to that? Because you've been on it longest, right?
Yeah, so I will tackle that one. And Dan and I are actually on these committees together. We can say board. Well, a lot of what we try and do is try and find a representative from each of the departments to represent those departments that are knowledgeable in the material. So for example, we have Dan from Veteran Services and the Student Access Center, and myself, who's worked on, with food pantries and clothing drives. And so we try and find staff who, in those areas who are most appropriate. And honestly, we volunteer. We're not really assigned duties or anything, but we want to make these events successful for students. So we volunteer to make connections in the community, bring people to campus. One of the grants that we did get was to create interfaith spaces on our campuses. So we did create 3 interfaith space, non-denominational spaces. So we have a committee or a board for that as well. And it's, carrying over from one committee to the next. And it's not always the same people. Like for the etiquette luncheon, we involved facilities and we involved, schedule, involved our culinary program, and, to involve as much of the campus community as we possibly can to make it successful for students. And Dan, you're more than welcome to add anything to it if you want. Not to put you on the spot or anything.
No, I think you covered all of it. A lot of it is, very specific to passion points of people, finding someone who cares and wants. And a lot of it also is my dean volunteering me or volunteering me. It's just finding the piece that really fits into it. Do you want to be part of an etiquette lunch? Do you want to be a part of a wellness event? Do you believe and understand? I've been working with therapy dogs in a veterans-based program since 2009. So we definitely, you want to bring a therapy dog to campus? In a heartbeat. Working through different pieces and just finding that passion point And also it helps us a ton because I'm gonna be brutally honest, there's times that I really don't want to be here. But having a connection into something that is a passion, the same way our students are. Jane, I see you smiling and laughing, so you can agree with me. Finding the passion, finding one more connection keeps me here. Finding one more connection might help me reach a student. You know, finding somebody who we talked about to hunger abatement. We have snacks in veteran services. We have snacks in disability services, student accessibility. People are always coming in. That tells me they're more than just snacking out. They need something beyond that. It's a passion point. Finding a way to take care of that one person keeps me coming back each and every single day, and allows a lot of, very honestly, allows my colleagues to tolerate me.
He's not wrong. One of the things that, for food pantry, a lot of what Dan was talking about, with making those connections, I used to have students that would come and hang out in the pantries. Mostly the one at city campus, but because they felt safe and cared for. And a lot of us, staff have been working together for, a while now, and we really know, where we would be most appropriate or be most needed or wanted or whatever. So.
Well, I see that we're coming right up on time. I echo Carmela. Just thank you so much to the SUNY Erie team. This information has been incredibly helpful. There will be a recording sent out to all the registrants, as well as the slide deck. And just an announcement briefly, March 13th, we're going to have our next Complete College America session, and they're going to be bringing in Nicholas Huot to talk about academic maps and milestones. That's March 13th. On April 23rd, we're going to have our next campus best practices session. That's going to be revolving around proactive advising, and we're going to hear from folks at SUNY Cortland, and they're going to talk about some proactive advising techniques that help them identify and address student challenges early and try to prevent potential barriers to their success throughout the semester. So once again, just join me in thanking our friends at SUNY Erie, and everybody have a great rest of your day.